Hello friends, chosen ones, welcome back to the river here and to Mother Nature. Today we're going to talk about Sasquatch, or commonly known as Bigfoot. And we're in Sweden, so we're going to talk about Sasquatch here in Sweden. And I have actually been interacting with them, so if you wonder who they are and why they're here and how they relate to us and so forth, we're going to talk about that in this video. It's a fascinating topic, and there are not so many other YouTubers who are talking about it, at least in Sweden. There's a lot of coverage from North America, and it feels to me like that might be like a hot spot for them. But here in Sweden, there's still many of them actually. And we have a tribe living not too far from here. They're not living around here, although I've been interacting with them here near my home. But they are a tribe of 24 Sasquatch. They're the dark hair kind, and they've been around here for quite some time. And since I got up here, I started to interact with them. So in the past 2 years, I've had several interactions, and just one recently last week. My name is Morten, and I'm a shaman and a mystic, and I have been doing consciousness work for the past 20 or so years. And as I came up here about 2 years ago, I started developing my psychic abilities, and I've gotten in touch with many different beings, and among them the Sasquatch. So they are actually, as it turns out, related to us, okay? So we were created about 500,000 years ago by an ET species called the Anunnaki, or a fraction of the Anunnaki. And they used, something related to a species related to Sasquatch to create us. So they mixed that Sasquatch sort of DNA with their own DNA, so Anunnaki DNA, and that's how they created humans. And this has been documented and channeled in many places, so you can learn more about that if you want to. The creation of man. There is actually a physical place in Africa which is called Adam's Calendar. I think it's in South Africa, and you can look into that place. I think it's even on Google Maps, Adam's Calendar. And that's where the first humans were born. So we do stem sort of from Africa in that sense. And so they created us there, and that's our connection, genetical connection to Sasquatch, okay? So if we wouldn't have been created by the Anunnaki like that with their DNA, we would still have been something akin to Sasquatch, okay? So what are Sasquatch? Well, they're kind of giants compared to us. That's why we're called them Bigfoot. And they are more primate appearing in their appearance, and they can appear quite different. They're different kind of variations of their appearance, sort of like they're different variations between humans in different regions of the world. So I think they can have different hair colors and so forth. The ones that I've been interacting with, they're kind of dark haired. And they are tall, so in like 3.5 meters or 11.5 feet, the ones that I'm talking to. And they're sort of average heights for Sasquatch. They can be a bit smaller, and they can be quite a bit bigger also. But they're huge, okay? But of course, so what makes them so elusive and why they're sort of been suppressed from our consciousness is because they have psychic abilities, very, very developed psychic abilities, okay? So to us, they're like Jedi masters in a way. They can manipulate our minds if we look at them and make us look away, or they can sort of make us forget that we even see them, and it's not until later that you might realize, like, oh, I just passed something, what was that? And then you go back and you look and they're already gone. But they can also be invisible and be right in front of you and you couldn't see them. And sometimes I have seen them appear, like looking through the window, and you just see their face, and it's kind of transparent, but you can see the outline of their face, kind of. And I've also seen them like a black person, you know, like in the distance. So, but they are very shy, okay? It's just like with the ETs, they don't want to scare us most of all, But with the Sasquatch, they're also concerned with their own well-being, because a lot of humans are afraid of them, and a lot of humans would want to harm them or capture them or do experiments or put them in a zoo or something, and it's the last thing they would want. Okay, so we have to recognize that these beings are highly, highly intelligent. Okay, they're very, very sensitive and highly intelligent beings. They're not very different from humans. Okay, and they're not very different from those ET beings I've been interacting with. They're very similar, so like highly intelligent, highly intuitive, and very developed psychic abilities. They can speak many different languages. They say through the one we can speak any language, but also they have learned languages. They can sort of see through our eyes, believe it or not. But this is what they have been telling me. Okay, I've been communicating with them telepathically, and I could feel their presence. They're quite close to me when we were talking, just on the other side of that river where we just were. And I was sitting there sort of meditating and just feeling into it, and they were there and they were talking to me, so I could hear them loud and clear. I've had several conversations with them over the years, and I think it's at least 3 different individuals that I've talked to now. So they are a tribe of 24, and they call themselves the Great Tribe, Bahuka tribe. They are the Star Walkers, they said. They are not just on Earth. So it's very complex what they are, because they are sort of like us, but also they've evolved in such a different way that they're kind of unlike us too. And they are elusive because they are scared, you know, in a sense of being misunderstood and so forth. There have been a lot of human and Sasquatch interactions over the years, and a lot of it has been documented, especially in North America. And if you search on YouTube and so forth, you'll find a lot of these documentaries and these accounts of these interactions, and they're not always been so peaceful. Okay. But a lot of them have been peaceful too. It's just often it's a lot of misunderstandings. Okay, and then there has been a lot of suppression of Sasquatch, like from higher places and from the matrix places, you know, that they don't want people to know, because I guess they don't want people to be scared and so forth. And this video is coming from a really heartfelt place. Okay, because the way I feel when I talk to them is that they really want to interact with us. They really want to be part of the human experience, and you know, they might not want to live the way we do. They have gone down a different path. But I thought I heard someone walking right there. That's kind of funny. It's like I heard 2 footsteps. I'm not kidding. They can travel through. They do what's called slipwalking, or Bashar calls it slipwalking. So they can walk through different dimensions, and they can be sort of anywhere, anytime. But yeah, I think there's. What am I seeing? Looked almost like a deer. I don't know. Oh, it's wild. This is such a wild area. We're like right onto the Sami country. So if you just go a little bit, like you can walk 10 minutes this way and you're already in the forest, in the wild, heading up the mountains into the heart of Sami country. So it's a really wild place. There are bears and deer and moose and everything running around. Not so many people, but still there's some houses here. And Sasquatch apparently, but what they told me is they don't live here. They live downstream, but they do come here to interact, and they have been interacting with me quite a lot. So yeah, but I haven't been really face to face with them, especially outside. So if they are here, then that's something new for me. I've seen them from a distance, and I've seen them like from inside the house being outside the house. But well, we'll see. Maybe we'll see one. I don't know. That would be crazy. But I haven't really seen them like clearly. They're very elusive, you know. But I've seen them clear enough to say that I've seen them. But you know, just for a few, like a couple of seconds, you know, and they've gone some other place. So it's coming from a really heartfelt place. Like, my intention with this is to open up your awareness that they are here, okay, and they want to be part of our experience. And they come, of course, with peaceful intentions, and they want to uplift us, and they also want to interact with us, and they are our relatives, you know, so they feel kind of left out, you know. It's kind of sad what happened with us and them, that we're so out of touch. I think probably in history, back in ancient times, I'm sure we were in contact with them, because we were more spiritual and we were more open-minded than we are now. But they are also noticing that we are becoming more open, okay? So that's why I'm also making this video, because they want me to share this with all you guys. They want you to know that they exist and that they are out in the forest. They told me there are hundreds of tribes, okay, all over Scandinavia. So they're all over the place, and there are people who have seen traces of them and so forth. And if you, by the way, if you do, if you're one of these people who have seen traces of them, okay, that means that they have chosen you, because they can easily avoid you if they wanted to. They can just slip right out of your consciousness, so they can manipulate your mind so that you might have looked straight at them, but you won't realize you looked at them. You'll think you looked at a tree or something, because they have that kind of power. It's like a Jedi power that they have, and this has been reported many times by different people, okay? So, and I've also experienced it a little bit, but I think they sort of allow me to see them too, because they feel like I'm ready or something, or they are ready maybe. Maybe it's more like up to them what they feel comfortable with, because they are, I mean, and if you think about it, you know, like, they have a lot more to be worried about than what we do, because we're humans, okay? We shoot anything that we're afraid of, and yeah, we don't have a great track record with wild animals, you know, or wild, and they're not even, I wouldn't call them animals even. They're like a civilization or a people, you know. It's almost like meeting an indigenous tribe, but a very, very evolved tribe, very, very conscious tribe, that are in a lot of ways more conscious than we are. I think that's the feeling I get from them, you know. And in some ways they also have things that they can learn from us, you know. Like, coming together with them will be very enriching for all of us. And what I'm thinking is, this is actually part of open contact. The last video I made was about open contact, and I think it's going to be absolutely necessary for us to first connect with the earth beings. I mean, Mother Earth is one, but you know, then we have the forest beings like Sasquatch, or we have forest spirits, elemental beings. There are all these different beings that are all around us, but they're just like a little bit maybe above our frequency. So like, before you train yourself in consciousness, you don't really notice them. But of course, it's also about us being aware and talking about them and acknowledging that they exist. It's not just stories, okay? That's like the stages of denial, when you ridicule it, you laugh about it, you caricature it, and you know, let's get beyond that point. Because, and also, like, the way we sometimes talk about Sasquatch in this very scientific way, where we're just looking at the signs for them and the physical things. And that's why I also make this video, because I want to bring in that psychic perspective or shamanic perspective that I carry, which is, okay, I can talk to them clearly, okay, I know they're here. And I've had many psychic connections, also with living people and so forth. I know my psychic abilities are real. It's not something I'm making up. And I don't feel like I have to prove it to anyone. And we have the ancestors, the raven or the crow. They are with us. Yeah, the ancestors are also reminding us that this is important thing to do, to reconnect back with Mother Nature and all the beings here. So Sasquatch, they are really the, when I say Sasquatch, not Bigfoot, because I feel it's more respectful. I don't think they want to be called Bigfoot. Would you want to be called Smallfoot, you know? I wouldn't. Anyways, kind of cute to be Smallfoot, but Sasquatch, I think, is a nicer name for them. Or we call them in Sweden, we call them the forest people, actually. It goes back to many generations. Skogsfolket, which I think is kind of sweet. So the forest, the people of the forest, because they are the guardians of the forest. That's their role. They are very, very conscious, they're very protective, they're very aware, they are very connected to Mother Nature, and they live in nature. And of course, they're also very trippy, they travel in different dimensions and so forth, and I'm sure they're going to have a lot to share with us. So far they've told me some things, like I've already been sharing. There are 24 of them right around here, a few hours downstream from here, and they have, the oldest was like 300 years old, something 334 years old, and there are 5 adolescents and 2 children with them now, like Sasquatch children. And that was also reported by Magnus. He's the guy who lives downstream. Okay, you can check out his YouTube channel. I put it in the description. There's also an interview with him. It was made like 8 years ago, where he talks about seeing them, and he has a lot of traces after them down there. I have like one broken tree that I've seen here, so I don't have much to show you. But I think what's important here is the communication I've had with them, and just to show you that they are real and that they are all over the place, and they want to interact with us on friendly terms, you know, on conscious terms, not as some kind of creature to be studied, you know, but as beings to be interacted with, to hold them in our hearts, you know, as part of our human family, because they are. So as more of us start talking about them in this way, I think they will open up to come closer and be closer with us, and collaborate more with us and so forth, and you know, we can start supporting each other more. But for now, it's just about opening up the subject, guys. So I'm gonna share a little bit in this video, and then I'll make more videos as I have more interactions with them. And maybe we can get into some actual signs of them and so forth, like in actual seeing them and videoing them and so forth. But I want them to be comfortable first. I don't just want to run after them. You know, I think we overdo it, you know, with all these like Bigfoot safaris and all that. I think this is kind of disrespectful to them. But of course, we are where we are. And when you don't have psychic abilities, that's kind of all you get, you know. But I wish that we can evolve from this place now. And we can maybe listen more to the people who have psychic abilities, and to have them come into the forests and talk to these beings and see what comes out, you know, because I think the Sasquatch, they can sort of speak for themselves. We could start channeling them even, and they could start speaking for themselves. That would be actually really interesting. So I might do that in the future video, but I just want to introduce them for now. So I've talked to one of them. Is like an elder female, and she's sort of also a shaman for the tribe. So I've channeled her for myself. I've talked to her a couple of times last year, and now this last week I talked with 2 younger males that yeah, they were just introducing me to the tribe and so forth, and explaining a bit more of who they are and where they're at with this whole opening up to human contact and interaction and so forth. So there are also, I just want to mention it if you're new to this thing with Sasquatch, is that there are something called the Sierra tapes, which are recordings of Sasquatch in North America. I think in the US, I'm not sure, but you can hear their vocalizations really clearly, like they're talking, they have their own language, okay? So you can listen to that and get an idea for what they sound like when they talk. I'm not sure if they sound exactly the same, the ones that are over here, but to me they're speaking just perfect English. So you can clearly hear their personalities, by the way. It's really sweet, really funny. They have good sense of humor too. Yeah. And I'm not really here to prove anything. I'm just here to open up, you know. And if you want to explore these things on your own, and I mean, you can also contact me if you want to learn more about this stuff. You can just send me an email, or If you want to work with me one-on-one, that's also a possibility. Like if you want to develop your own psychic abilities to the point where you can talk to Sasquatch or to spirits or to the forest creatures or the elemental beings, for example, I can also help you with that because I did that myself. I've gone through that journey and I am a shaman. And I'm happy to, for someone who's ready to learn those abilities, I'm happy to share and to teach that. And if you want to see videos about that, I can also make that. So if so, just make a comment about it. I'll consider making videos about it. I talked about it briefly in the video about my daughter when she died and how to communicate with spirits, but yeah, if you want to look into that, just I think it's my daughter died at 3. That's the video. Yeah. So they are the protectors of the forest, of the light, of the good in the world. They are very, very wholesome beings. I know there has been some negative interactions in the past and so forth, but the past has been what it's been. It's been very violent for most of recent human history and so forth. And I mean, the Sasquatch will, like Mother Nature, will react against these kind of unconscious behaviors and harming nature and so forth to some degree. You know, they're not violent per se, you know. I find them very, very peaceful, very, very wise, very mature in that sense. And I think maybe that's why we haven't seen more of them, because they're sort of waiting for us, just like the ETs, they're waiting for us to rise in consciousness and to be more loving and understanding and open-minded and so forth. And we're getting there, you know, that's why I'm making this video. I wouldn't make this video otherwise if I didn't believe anyone would hear it, because I see a lot of this stuff going on the internet and so forth, and I think it's time now that we start talking about it and we start approaching them with love and with open hearts and open minds. And yeah, I think it's going to be a beautiful new time opening up now for humanity. So just a brief note, what I learned from Magnus, who lives downstream, who's been observing them, is that there's a lot of this in our history in Sweden. The Sami people, they have special names for these forest people, and it goes all over Sweden, Finland, Norway and Russia. These stories, they're also known as the bear people, and even Magnus would share, like when he would talk to people around here, that there's a lot of people who know these stories. And I haven't talked too much with people about it yet, but I'll probably hear a lot after making this video. There are a lot of hunters and so forth. They talk about them and they see things when they're in the forests, and they even take certain precautions not to upset them and so forth, and to be respectful towards them. And they know sort of where the areas where they are more active and so forth. So there is like a tradition of this in Sweden, and I don't think most people know about it. I certainly never heard about it, but of course I'm from the south, where we don't have these vast forests, where I think it's mostly where the Sasquatch live, okay, in these vast forest regions. But anyway, that's what I wanted to mention. You can check out the link below for Magnus and his work and the interview there. He's been doing this for many, many years. And otherwise, do your own search. There's tons of different material. Some of it is obviously fake, and you know, some people are just trying to be funny. But it's time we take this more serious. So you can look for those more serious channels out there about Bigfoot. There's a lot, and some signs that you will see are they put trees like X's, the shape of an X, like two trees across from each other. And they build little things, you know, with wood. They take wood and they put it in all kinds of ways. And sometimes you will see a tree that they have like bent over, like a really thick tree, and they just go. A lot of those around. And trident, I've seen from the US, I think, or Canada. They have those trees that are shaped like tridents, and they will put them in all kinds of places, and really, really strange looking. Like no way that it could have been put there naturally, you know. And you can look into those too, and I know some people have they've like been interacting with Sasquatch, and they've been given stones or crystals. Bashar has even said that sometimes they make psychedelic brews They have some brew that they make. They have a lot of wisdom too, and especially nature wisdom. I'm sure they know a lot about the plants and herbs and medicines and so forth. They probably know a bunch about that, so they have a lot to teach us. So it's an exciting time, you know. There's a lot opening up, and it's my great honor to be the one, or one of the many who gets to do this kind of work. So yeah, I'm happy you're here. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you're resonating, and share it with a friend who might resonate as well. And if you want to donate to support me and this mission that I have to spread the light and to open up to higher consciousness and so forth, then there's a link in the description. So thank you very much for donating. And yes, exciting times. All right, see you in the next one, guys. Ciao.